Everyone at Westbrook Academy knew Daniel for one thing. He was slow. Slow at writing. Slow at answering questions. Slow at finishing assignments. And worst of all, Daniel never seemed to care. At least, that's what everyone thought. One Monday morning, Daniel was sitting at his desk, carefully checking his science project for the third time. His friend Marcus looked over. "Bro, you've been working on that same thing for almost an hour." Daniel smiled. "I just want to make sure it's right." Marcus laughed. "That's your problem. You always want everything to be perfect." The boy sitting behind him joined in. "Forget perfect. Daniel probably needs another week just to sharpen his pencil." The whole table laughed. Daniel didn't. He simply looked down at his project and continued working. What none of them knew was that Daniel had learned something very early in life. If he rushed something, he usually regretted it. So he had made a rule for himself. "I'd rather be late with something I'm proud of than early with something I know I could have done better." Unfortunately, nobody at school understood that. To them, slow meant stupid. And Daniel was tired of being treated like he was stupid. A few weeks later, the principal made an announcement that changed everything. Westbrook Academy had been selected for a statewide student innovation competition. The winning student would receive a scholarship, a new laptop, and the opportunity to present the project to several technology companies. The school immediately became excited. Students began forming teams. Ideas flew around the classrooms. One group wanted to build a recycling machine. Another wanted to create a school attendance app. Marcus joined a group building a smart water bottle. Daniel had an idea too. But when he approached his classmates, the reaction wasn't what he expected. "You're joining our group?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah, I have an idea that could make the project better." Marcus looked uncomfortable. "Daniel, we're already almost finished." Another student whispered loudly. "We don't have time to wait for him." Daniel heard it. He looked around the room. Nobody wanted him. So he walked away. And for the first time, he decided he wasn't going to prove them wrong with words. He would prove them wrong with his work. That afternoon, Daniel went home and opened a notebook. He wrote one sentence across the first page. "If I'm going to be called slow, I'll make sure the result is worth the wait." Then he began. His idea was simple. He wanted to create a low-cost device that could help schools detect when water tanks were running low, so someone could refill them before the water completely ran out. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't flashy. But Daniel believed it could actually help people. So he researched. He sketched. He tested. He made mistakes. He started again. The first version didn't work. The second version worked for 5 minutes before failing. The third version gave completely wrong readings. Daniel didn't quit. While other students were already showing off their projects around school, Daniel was still working. And the jokes got worse. "Still working? Maybe he'll finish by graduation. Don't disturb him. He's thinking." Daniel heard every word, but he kept working. 3 days before the competition, something unexpected happened. Daniel finally got his prototype working. He stared at it for several seconds. Then he smiled. But instead of celebrating, he picked up his notebook. There was still one problem. The device worked in his bedroom, but real life wasn't his bedroom. It needed to work under different conditions. So Daniel tested it again, and again, and again. He changed small parts of the design. He tested it in warm conditions. He tested it in cold conditions. He tested it with different water levels. By the night before the competition, Daniel had barely slept, but he wasn't finished. There was one final test, and that test almost destroyed everything. The following morning, Daniel carried his project into school. His classmates were already preparing their presentations. Marcus walked over. "So, slow boy, you finally finished?" Daniel smiled. "Yeah." Marcus looked at the small device. "That's it." Daniel nodded. "That's it." Marcus laughed. "Our project looks way better than that." Daniel didn't argue. He simply walked away. The competition began at 10 a.m. Students presented one after another. Some projects were impressive. Some were entertaining. Some clearly hadn't been tested properly. Then the judges called Daniel's name. He walked to the front. The room became unusually quiet. Everyone wanted to see what the boy they called slow had spent all those weeks doing. Daniel connected his device. He explained the problem. He explained his solution. Then came the demonstration. The device worked perfectly. The judges leaned forward. One judge asked a difficult question. Daniel answered. Another judge challenged his design. Daniel explained exactly why he had made each decision. Then one judge asked, "How many times did you test this?" Daniel paused. "More than 30. The room went silent. The judge smiled. "Why?" Daniel looked at his classmates. Then he said, "Because I didn't want it to work once. I wanted it to work when someone actually needed it." That sentence changed the atmosphere in the room. Then something happened that Daniel hadn't expected. One of the judges asked him to repeat the demonstration. Daniel did. It worked again. The judges whispered among themselves. Then they asked for another test. Again, it worked. By now, even the students who had mocked him were watching closely. Marcus wasn't laughing anymore. He was staring at the project. The boy everyone called slow had built something that was more reliable than almost every project in the room. 2 days later, the principal called an emergency assembly. Everyone gathered in the school hall. The principal walked onto the stage holding an envelope. The judges have made their decision. The room became silent. Third place. Another student. Second place. Marcus's team. Marcus smiled. Then the principal opened the final envelope. And first place goes to... He paused. Daniel. For a moment, Daniel didn't move. Then the hall exploded with applause. The same students who had laughed at him were now standing. Some looked shocked. Some looked embarrassed. And a few were already asking him questions. How did you build it? Can you teach me? Can we work together next time? Daniel simply smiled. Because he remembered something. Only a few weeks earlier, those same people hadn't even wanted him on their team. After the ceremony, Marcus approached him. Daniel. Daniel turned. Marcus looked uncomfortable. I owe you an apology. Daniel nodded. Marcus continued. I thought you were slow because you weren't smart. Daniel smiled. I know. So, how did you become this good? Daniel looked at the trophy in his hands. I didn't become good overnight. He paused. I just kept working after everyone else stopped. Marcus didn't know what to say. Daniel walked away. Months later, Daniel's project was being developed further with help from the school. His classmates stopped calling him slow. But Daniel never asked them to. Because he had finally realized something important. Being slow isn't always the same as being behind. Sometimes, the person moving slowly is the person making sure every step is right. And sometimes, the people laughing at you today will be the same people asking you tomorrow how you did it. So if you're someone who takes your time, someone who checks your work twice, someone who refuses to rush just because everyone else is rushing, don't let their words convince you that you're less capable. Because Daniel wasn't slow. He was simply building something. They weren't patient enough to see.